Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jumper and today we're doing my top 5 favourite Legend of Zelda mini bosses. Now within the Zelda series there have been various mini bosses that Link has fought over throughout the years, and a lot of them appear in dungeons, some others might appear over in the overworld, and today I'm going to be going over some of my personal favourites. So for number 5 is the big eye plant from the Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Now, what I like about this boss is that in terms of how the boss is fought, it's one of the few bosses that, or few mini bosses that you get to fight whilst being on your mode of transportation, with that being Linebeck's boat. And I think that's a really interesting and unique way of fighting a boss, because you get to fight this twice throughout the game. I think the first time you fight it is when I think you get the key to the Temple of Courage, and the second one I think you get the second one you fight is when you go to Balan Island after doing a specific quest, I think. And I do like the way that you use the boat for this, because this is one of the few times we actually get to use the way that you transport, or your mode of transportation that you get throughout the game, and use it to fight a boss. It's kind of like how you fight Levius in Skyward Sword, where you have to use your Loft Wing to defeat all the eyes and then defeat the main parasite on top of his head. And I think it's a really cool and interesting way of a mini boss. For number 4 is King Goblin from the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Now, what I like about King Goblin is that you get to fight this guy a couple of times. The first time being when he steals one of your friends from Mordor Village. The second time is when you transport the Ruto Prince to Source Domain, and then the final time in Hyrule Castle. And what I like about each fight is that they're slightly different. The first time you fight him, he's got Colin tied up to a pole and you have to do a bridge match. The second time is the same thing as the first fight, but this time King Goblin has 2 shields, and the final time in Hyrule Castle you basically fight him 1-to-1. And I do think that's a really cool, these fights are really cool, because they obviously have to come up with different ways of fighting him, especially with the second bridge fight, with when he has the shields, because you have to use your bow and arrow to hit him and then slash him with your sword. And I think that's a really cool idea and really cool way of just fighting the boss. For number 3 is the Iron Knuckle from the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now, what I like about the Iron Knuckle mini-boss is that the temple where it comes from, the Spirit Temple, is that you have to fight 2 Iron Knuckles. The first time as young Link, the second time as adult Link, and I think that's a really cool way of fighting the mini-boss, because the first time you fight him as young Link, you're basically the less powerful one, in a sense, because young Link, his weapons and items don't deal that much damage. I think the bombs carry over to adult Link, but in terms of young Link's sword, that sword doesn't really do wouldn't do that much damage to a mini boss like an Iron Knuckle, because an Iron Knuckle is just like, the super tough boss, which is really cool. And then I like it how you fight it again as adult Link when you go through the second half of the temple. And I think it's a really cool way of showing how, like, the 2 different powers of Link, the power of like young Link and the power of adult Link. And I think that's a really cool way of fighting basically the same boss, but as 2 separate people. And yeah. For number 2 is Dark Link from Ocarina of Time. Now, what I like about Dark Link's boss fight is that it's in this giant open room, and I like the fact that when you first enter the mini boss room, you're only greeted with a tree and another doorway, and then when you find out the door on the other side is locked, you'll face the other way and fight your shadow. And what I like about this is that I think the moment you go past the tree, your reflection will vanish, and that's quite cool because and quite mysterious, because you're wondering. I don't think you'll probably notice it on your first playthrough, but if you play through Ocarina of Time or the 3DS remake, a couple of other playthroughs with that in mind, I think that kind of builds up the mystery of where's my reflection, where did it go, and then you get to fight Dark Link. And I do like how with Dark Link, he's basically got the same moveset as you. So he's got like, the sword, the shield, the bombs, the boomerang, the bow and arrow, that sort of thing. And I do like how you can, like, after you hit him a couple of times, he'll go down to the ground and appear in another behind you or something like that. And I think that's really cool and interesting. And I think that his mini boss fight is a really fun and interesting boss fight, and I really wish that we get to see Dark Link in more Zelda games. And for number 1 is LD002G Sekifuro. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but it's basically the robot pirate captain pirate guy from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now, what I like about this mini boss is that you get to fight a robot, but I do also like how this particular mini boss is where the location is. But it's mainly because you're basically on the plank, and after I think a couple of phases, the fence, the barricade behind Link moves a couple of times, so that means the plank that you're on gets smaller and smaller, and that's a really cool concept for a mini boss. And then I do like how with the main pirate man himself, he's got various weapons. So he's got 2 swords and and his hook, his hand hook, which I think is a really cool concept, because with the first 2 phases, it's just basically him using his swords, but then the final phase he basically uses his hook, which is a really cool concept, because like when he does use his hook, he basically can do like a full-on spin attack. He can electrify his weapons, and I think it's really cool. And I do like how you can just deflect each weapon, and you have to basically just hit your sword into the guy, and it's a really cool concept. And I think it's a really fun fight. And you do get to fight it. You do get to fight another one later on in the game. I don't think it's as cool as the first one, because that's the first sort of like mini boss where you get to fight a robot in such a narrow space, and it's a really cool, fun mini boss fight. So that's been my top 5 favourite mini bosses. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.